Morning, it's Brentley here from Huckabones. Today we're going to look at the KX018-4 from Kubota and go over a little bit of the specs, but also some personal experience with this machine. Stay tuned. All right, we're gonna start at the front of the boom here. You're gonna look at your bucket. So this is a 16-inch bucket. Your ranges are 12 inches to 24-inch buckets on these machines. Again, a little bit smaller capacity because of the size of them. But what we have here is a quick attach wedge style. So this is Kubota's quick attach style. We also have a Kotek style that can go on this. It's a little bit different that way, but we sell more of the Kubota wedge, and you can always do a pin on to save some money. If you're not gonna switch buckets often or ever, then you can save some money and just do a direct pin on bucket. A lot of customers are putting a quick attach on and multiple buckets for different applications of wanting teeth bucket or smooth edge. Not on this machine, but we can install it on any of them, is what they call their hydraulic thumb. So again, that piece would get welded on here and then have a hydraulic cylinder into these valves right here. And then that would allow you to grab stumps and logs and that kind of debris, along with what I really like it for is protecting your boom when you're always curling the bucket up and having material in that bucket that's exceeding the size. It's always going to pinch against your boom and you're just scratching and denting up your machine that you've just spent some good hard money on, and then you're scratching it right away. So that's what the hydraulic thumb could do for you. These outlets as well, can work for a few different options of if you wanted to put a postal auger on it or a breaker, that kind of thing, then you need that extra hydraulic line out there to run that machine. So that's what they are. Working back, you've got all your hoses and fittings, as tight to the boom or inside the boom as possible to protect them, which is really nice from Kubota. You've got a work light here that can point down at the bucket. Up on your cab, you can add an extra cab light kit. There is a cab model in this that actually comes with the work light standard whenever you get your factory cab. And your factory cab, just note it's going to be heat only, no AC. So heat only on your cab, or this is what they call their canopy model or open station model. Both of them will have a straight blade. Again, that retractable blade where you can swing the wings back, but they're both a straight, they do not angle. So just a straightforward, good workhorse. You're going to have 7'9", 7'10" of reach with this machine, so just shy of 8 feet for digging down. And I do own one of these personally, and the jobs that I've kind of done, just again, this is my full-time job, so around the property of, clearing up my fence lines, getting rid of some stumps, it's gonna do it all. You're just gonna dig further out from that stump of breaking those roots off further out when they're smaller than, bringing a big excavator in or big backhoe in that's just gonna rip that stump right out in a couple pulls. So it takes you a little bit longer, but again, you're spending a fraction of the money to do that same job. The other nice thing, have a half-ton truck. This machine's gonna weigh, 3,000 pound range, 3,500 pound range, and that's gonna go on any tandem axle trailer real nice, in any dump trailer really nice. So, the towing aspect of these machines for just using on a personal side or, commercial side, they still sell lots of, they're at every rental house, and landscapers love them for getting into backyards and not tearing things up because of the weight. So, multi-purpose that way. But I even dug the side of my septic out when I had a crack on the foundation. Again, with the 8-foot reach, you're digging down right beside the wall. You have an articulating cylinder right here that can pivot that boom and get you right up against the wall nice and tight for digging. And I dug my foundation back away, 2-3 feet that you can work in a hole, and sealed that all up and then backfilled it myself, so just some things that you can do. Would I dig a whole foundation and building a new house? Maybe not with this one, but maintaining your property and doing that kind of stuff, it's great for. All right, talk about a couple of things. Kubotas are pretty standard across the board, but we'll start with this one of very similar of maintenance. Your tracks on all Kubotas are tensioned by grease. So you're gonna have a grease nipple right in here on your track that if they retract and they get loose or anything, that they could come off, or if you had to change them, you're actually going to unscrew that and let the grease come out. But whenever you're tensioning your tracks for that, all you're doing is grease gun. It's great, simple system, not using a whole bunch of tools and fittings and trying to break out mud or anything that way to, you know what I mean, get that done on the job site. So great system that they have on all their excavators. Your oil bath hubs at the back. Those are the important motors. There's only, you know what I mean, a half a liter of oil in there. So that's something that shouldn't be overlooked on every service, because that is run your planetaries. That's your expensive parts. And for a half liter of oil, it's a simple maintenance thing, and it's unscrew the one screw for drain and fill it up to the top on the other one. So super easy. Again, we're gonna go to the back of the machine. Again, access to your engine. You can see your fuel filters there, your oil filters there. Everything's quick and easy, air filters, that sort of thing. So great maintenance standpoint by Kubota. It's a tight machine, little machine, but everything's right there. Lockable gas cap here, you know what I mean? So you can lock it on the job site just for preventative theft for your fuel. And again, that's the same on the cab model that way. You see a little bit more of the platform. That's why we're highlighting this one here, that we're not looking through glass and everything. So we'll show you some controls in a minute, but just wanted to go over how easy things are to maintenance and to access on the excavator. You are going to have some grease nipples around the outside, and you should actually turn your machine around as you're greasing, and this gets grease all the way around that kingpin, and that creates preventative maintenance as well, that some spot on the machine's not wearing prematurely from another just because, hey, it didn't get grease on the backside because you never spun the machine around and hit it with a couple pumps. So something to remember when you are greasing your machine, which again, excavators, that's the biggest thing, is greasing them. You're going to have all your grease nipples on one side of the boom with a Kubota, just again making it easier for the operator to want to do it and to do it. So it's kind of a run down the boom, and then couple on your tracks and on your pivot points, and you're done. So simple and easy that way. Again, starting back here on the bucket, there's this style bucket that has a hook, but I'm highlighting that. I'm highlighting this hook here, and then these hooks on the side of your tracks, and then there's one underneath. But this is just to highlight that there is multiple points to chain this machine down and to do that sort of thing. But yeah, so they've thought of the transport and the tie downs for, you know what I mean, shipping it on a trailer, and they've also thought of the maintenance for everyday use. All right, so we'll show you the controls in the cockpit here in a second, but what I'm going to highlight is how easy it is to go from 39 inches to 51 inches. Again, we need to pin back the blade so I can get off and do that for you, but we'll show how easy it is with the machine itself. Little trick of the trade. I don't want to mess up all the asphalt, so what I'm going to do is spin this machine around. I'm going to use my bucket on one side and my blade on the other to pick this machine up just off the ground slightly. And then all I got to do is pull a lever, and this is going to pull those in one at a time hydraulically. And right now you're at 39 inches, just like that. I don't know if that took 5 seconds, but that's how easy it is. So we'll go back to 51 inches just by pulling that lever. Again, up in the air was no problem, and using the bucket and blade on each side. But there's locked in, and I'm ready to dig. So just going to show you a couple of the controls. Again, you can have both A and B patterns, and we'll show you that where that switch is, but what it really boils down to is what they call Kubota controls, and we don't like to say the cat word, but cat controls. But right now I'm in Kubota controls, where these two levers are going to push your dipper out and in, and your boom up and down. And then this one is going to pivot your bucket, and this one is going to swing your machine left to right. So what that does is just, that's Kubota controls. We'll show you where the lever is in a minute, but the other controls would just change that dipper and that arm. It doesn't change your pivot side to side of your bucket. So that's really just whatever you're comfortable with is again, moving a lever. But the one thing I want to show you on the floor, you have two pedals here, and everyone always asks us what these are about. Left to right here, it's not hooked up, but this would be your hydraulic thumb on this machine if it was hooked up. So you have full hand control on your levers at all times, and you'd be moving your foot side to side to bring that thumb in or out. And the other one is that I talked about digging along my wall. Well, how do you do it whenever your tracks are this wide and your boom's in the center? Well, this articulation here lets you swing this pivot that now, you know what I mean, you have a different angle of digging, and I can be digging right beside me and pivoting, you know, that way. So I can move this left to right It goes further on the left side just because how the mechanics are on the right with the cylinder, but this gives you some different angles to dig at while sitting on your machine. And again, I can spin this whole cab around to be positioned differently, but this is at your footstep right there of pivoting this boom on an angle aspect, and the cylinder's on this side. So again, going back to the cat controls, Kubota controls, so AB patterns here, you do have to unlock this. Again, you have a little bit of storage, but this red knob right here, if you pull that out and push that up, it's as easy as that at changing your hydraulic functions on those two levers. So, you know, it can't get more simple than that of running this machine, even though your background might be in a different aspect of how those controls work. It's that easy even on our small units. All right, just to wrap up today's video, again, the KX018-4 from Kubota, 1.8 ton unit, reach is just shy of 8 feet. You've got a retractable tracks from 39 inches out to 51 inches where they're sitting right now, and that blade, the ends flip back on both sides to give you that 39 inches overall width if you need to get through something tiny. You got an articulating boom with just your foot pedal. You've got a hydraulic thumb option that's not on this one, but can be plumbed in and mounted. And again, that's on the foot control. Moving back to the cockpit, you've got your two levers for your track movement, and then you have your joysticks on your controls here. Again, two pattern selection just by the turn of a lever of having Kubota controls or cat controls configurations. On the right side, we didn't show it, but there is a blade lever there. So to put your blade up and down, and it's got a green button on the top for your 2-speed transmission. So this does have 2 travel speeds to get to where you need to and the speed you need to go. You've got a work light on the boom. You can add work lights on the canopy model. Cab model that isn't in this video, but can have is a factory cab. So it comes right from factory with that. Again, heat only, super easy on maintenance as you saw, and nice tight nimble machine. The U17 versus this, again, not a lot of weight difference, but where you're going to find it is in the operator's platform and your room on the seat and on the floorboard, along with a little bit of performance-wise of being the heavier machine on a small unit. You do see whenever you're really reaching down or out with something and you've got some bigger stuff in the bucket, that's where this machine is going to be a little nicer than the U17. But U17 being a zero tail swing, gets a little tighter to walls and nicer in that aspect. So kind of that'll be your decision between the two, but very comparable units. And this is the KX018. If you liked today's video, please hit that button. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below.